I love that these days the intro doesn't even, I don't even have an intro.
Just go into
so we're
it.
just going. Yeah, it's already on. Okay, so hello and welcome back to Conversations with Claire. I'm going to adjust the video because I can see that it's cockeyed and I don't like that. So just hang tight.
It's all twisted, sister.
It never
Excellent.
feels natural. Okay, so today's episode, I actually have a guest that has been on a podcast before, but this is still not like, this ain't your thing. So this is kind of new.
Nervous.
You are
A
nervous?
little nervous, yeah.
Oh, I love it. I didn't even offer to pray beforehand. Do you want to do that?
You can.
Do you want to or?
I'm okay.
Okay.
It's too late for that.
Okay. We're in.
The nerves
Okay.
are already here.
So, and I actually asked you how to pronounce it earlier. So my guest today is Tyson Mendeas.
Mendeas, not Mendez.
Mendeas.
Not the Mendez brothers.
Yes. Well, it's Mendeas.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Where is that from?
I'm born and raised in Santa Barbara, California.
Okay.
My family's my dad's side's from Spain, and they came over here generations ago, and then they married Yaqui Indians, and that's how I got Mendeas. It's Indian and Spaniard.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And my mom's a mutt. She's like German and a mixture of everything.
Okay. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
I guess you always knew that then.
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. My dad, it's still gray when I ask him because he's not close with his family.
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't speak Spanish, but he's got brothers and sisters. Half of them speak Spanish, but he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, Dad, where are we from? He's like, Spain, Mexico. I'm like, pick which one. He doesn't know. So I'm lost as well. He's like, I don't really care. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Good to know. I'll have to do like a 21andMe.
Yeah. I did. It's 23andMe, and I did that. My family, we didn't. That's why I was asking. We didn't know where the heck we were from,
Yeah.
and so I knew that there was some Native American. I'm from Oklahoma, and I knew that there was some of that in there. And then doing the test, I was like, oh, so there's almost none,
Right.
and there
Zero.
was just a lot more like British and things like that for me. Yeah.
Yaqui Indian, and they're in the other half family from Spain. So I don't know.
Yeah, but that's how the last name came to be.
Mendeas.
Okay. All right. So you are the head coach at Archetype Boxing in Austin, Texas, which that's not actually where we met. That's the second time we hung out. That's where we were. But I always like to start with the how we met. And so the how we met was actually, in my opinion, very cool. This is like reality to you. But we went to Roca for a training with Tim, and you're part of Tim Kennedy's crew. You guys train together all the time. And he and I had met probably a little over a year prior to that, thanks to a photo shoot for a brand and just other mutual connections. And so what's funny, and I don't even know if I had told you this or not, but I know going into that, my body was really wrecked. Like I was like, I am not well. What have I done? Because I'm coming into this like training session. I originally thought I was going to program it and then was more than happy that I didn't.
You had to
but
do
I
it.
thought that I was going to program it. And I knew I was going to do the workout as well.
Right.
But so I just remember like walking in, like eating a banana and being like, well, sweetie, this is where you just nut up, you know,
Time to
and
suffer.
that's always been anytime I've gotten the opportunity to train with anybody that's like, you know, well known and is like a bad mother trucker. It's always just like, yeah, so you'll die for this. You know, It wasn't even that long after that, the first time that I trained with Lance Armstrong, and I showed up in what I thought the workout was going to be. And by the way, I really like the guy. He's so nice. But a friend invited me to do that, and it was supposed to be a specific workout. And I arrive and it's a very different workout. And I was like, oh,
Lovely.
great. And so then I was like, yet again, I will die for this. And so walk into that workout, and it was totally fine. Like what we did, it was hard, but it was doable. But it was just funny because I came in like kind of like beat down and was like, this is a moment, sweetie. You're just going to have to just do the thing.
And he gets excited when anybody new comes. It's like, oh, great.
Oh yeah. So you're going to have a harder workout as a direct result.
He likes to get all his old like SEAL buddies and people that are clearly retired, not in shape, and then make them do like a Hateful 100 or an ABC. And they can't. I mean, it's like, what are you doing to these guys? You know, it's like, so we all have to suffer for these guys that are coming.
Yeah.
And heaven forbid if somebody that's fit that comes, then he has to crush everybody. So if they're like good, strong power lifters, we're going to do something aerobic. Or if they're like super conditioned, we're going to do heavy weights. And we've been doing it for 2 years now, so we're adapted to it. But But yeah, he's a psychopath.
Yeah. Oh, and it was a lot of fun, but I do remember the workout being hard. And I do remember
like
like
box jumps. It wasn't your idea for the box jumps?
it was. Yeah.
it.
And in hindsight, that's funny because I remember that. And I remember also feeling sorry for your joints. Like I remember looking around and being like,
Bunch of gorillas.
I think everyone's
hop over a
knees are
box.
like literally pissed off right now. And then that's why the next time when I came to Archetype and we got going with it,
Little
I was
mobility.
like, I like stopped everyone. It was like, so can we all just warm up together?
Just a little gentle warm up this time.
Yes, and then your friends afterwards were like, "Hey, can we get that? Like whatever that was."
We need to do way more recovery and active warm ups.
Let me tell you, as a pain-free performance specialist, which is what I hang my hat on the most these days, a warm up should take you 10-ish minutes to do and should save your ass and give you access to greater range of motion and strength and all of these beautiful things. But like injury.
Vastly different than our warm ups.
Yeah. So anyway,
Anyways,
so that's how we met. And then you had a really cool thing happen recently that was that you celebrated 1 year sober.
1 year completely sober. No, nothing.
Right.
No, just 100% sober.
No extracurriculars.
No
Or they
extra-
call it like California sober. Are you familiar with that term?
Oh, yeah, I was.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's Colorado sober.
Yeah.
There's options. Okay. So
Full sober.
do it full on. Ain't nothing going. What about sometimes whenever I post about sobriety, people will say, what about caffeine? And I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's the only thing I have. I have to have one vice.
I
Don't
literally
take my caffeine from me.
my first year of sobriety, I intook such high volumes of caffeine because I had no idea how to like
Function.
exist in public. And so I was just like, I don't know, I'm just going to ride this, wave of, so I drink a lot of caffeine. And what's funny is year over year now, my like sensitivity to it and desire for it goes down substantially. So I'm at like 1 cup of coffee a day and I'm like considering even eliminating that.
I'm trying to get to that point. That's my
Wild.
next step is to lower my caffeine intake. But it's
but-
hard.
But yet again, like if that's your thing, one, there are proven benefits for one, depending on how much volume and it's, person to person. Anyway, like there are worse things as you drink your coffee. Did you like it? By the way, I put collagen and protein in his coffee.
It's pretty tasty.
It's tasty?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, good. Okay. So go ahead and I'm going to just rock you back because I do want to, that's what we're here today to like tell your story. And you have an interesting one and I have some questions about it. So
Shoot away.
what was childhood like?
Childhood was...
Get up to that microphone.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. He's new here.
Born in Santa Barbara. My parents divorced when I was 5.
Okay.
And then remarried. And then we moved like 30 minutes north into San Ynez Valley. It's like Napa Valley wine country.
Okay.
My mom has horses, so she wanted to have a ranch. So my stepdad moved us up there. I had a pretty good childhood. I mean, despite my stepdad he was an alcoholic and he had anger management, anger issues.
Okay.
Very verbal, abusive. So that was hard, and that's where I think I got my fear, or that's where my wall came up in my life. And dealing with him, he was a big, scary, heavy individual, and he had a coke problem and alcohol and everything. And he was you never know which guy you're going to get. He was a great person, he had a good heart, but his demons just got the best of him all the time.
So we call that the Jekyll and the Hyde,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he was like that.
He was like that. And it was just, you lived in fear because he was always hungover or high. You never know what you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
So I never wanted to come home, and he was never physical, but the verbal was almost worse.
Trauma's trauma,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like have you met Dakota Myers?
I've not met him personally.
Oh gosh, she's wonderful. Yeah, I love, his statements about like, why are we trying to out trauma each other?
It's
Like
the
who
same stuff,
cares?
yeah.
Like
It still messed me up.
yeah, and definitely that book I referenced that I don't want to talk about it speaks clearly about the different traumas and how there are overt, covert things that take place where, there are the big T's that people would identify. Oh, you were physically assaulted. Oh, you were, things that are outwardly acknowledged traumas. And then there are all of the like, maybe your parents just neglected you and like no one else was even really that aware. And that's a completely sufficient trauma.
Right.
So like verbal is very real.
Sure.
They could just say one sentence that you've carried. Realistically, your parent has probably said something to you that has echoed in your mind the rest of your life.
Of course.
And they can even be wonderful people and accidentally do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was a loving guy. He took care of us. He put food on the table. He spoiled all of us. He was the most giving person, but the demon was just, you never know who you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you kind of start living in fear, never wanting to go home. High school came, and then you just find yourself detaching from the house. I never wanted to be home, and I was into extreme sports, racing motocross at a young age. So I was always doing wild, crazy stuff my whole life, trying to rebel.
That kind of checks for you.
Right.
Yeah. Like we don't even know each other that well. And that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. So doing motocross was like my outlet. It was like how I can just clock out and not worry about being home.
Uh-huh.
And then, you're partying, you're drinking.
When did that start?
I didn't start drinking till late, like 17.
Oh, yeah.
And then, senior year, you start drinking alcohol and you start realizing, ooh, this is kind of fun. Start going to parties. It was more out of high school when I started drinking more. And it was more casual, like on the weekends. Nothing like too troubled. Like I had a lot of friends. I'm like, man, you guys got some problems, doing hard drugs in school, early age. But myself, I was because I was always an athlete too. I started doing boxing and martial arts in high school.
Okay.
So I was always, that kind of kept me grounded. And then it was just like a weekend warrior. Kind of how it all started, really.
Okay. So 17 is actually, I feel like, especially in our society and you grew up in a kind of rural area, right? Or not somewhere
Cowboy
super
town.
Yeah. Yeah. So I grew up in a small town and it definitely was like, this is just very, very normal at very
Everyone's
young
drinking
ages.
and driving. You can go to house parties. And it was the old world too,
I saw another piece of content recently that was just making fun of like, it was just like a superimposed person dancing, and like the background was this kitchen that was just like the cabinets weren't even there, and everything's just it's just like it looks like a meth house.
Yep.
And anyway, a friend of mine that's in recovery and I sent it back and forth to one another and had a lot of fun about it. It's like when you're 16 and like you're here at 4 a.m. and like, and you're just, and at that time, I had no awareness around how like not okay that was.
Right.
But today, if you were to put me in those surroundings, like every part of me would freak out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
Anyway, and that's probably, if you've not been in that scenario, then you're like, you don't relate. And then you're like, that doesn't make any sense. And I understand that too. Anyway.
And like growing up there, it was like the good old boys, no one was really getting in bad trouble. I mean, they had kids that were doing bad things, but we were just having fun.
Right.
Just trying to meet girls and get out partying and just be crazy little boys.
Yeah. Okay. So you get into martial arts while you're still in high school.
Yeah. My real dad, he did kickboxing and karate.
Okay.
So, and the good thing about my relationship, my family, was my mom, stepdad, and dad were all friends. So they all knew each other. So my dad would come up and there was never any drama between them. So that was cool. So
yeah,
that
is cool.
Weird. But my dad did martial arts, kickboxing. My stepdad was a boxer. Made him even more scary. That's where his temper came from.
Yeah. Did you ever pick fights with him or never?
No, I was too scared of him.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be around him because you never know what you're going to get. So I got into martial arts to protect my mom, right? I wanted to be able to defend myself and my mom from him. And that's where that started.
So that was your original motivator for getting into martial arts?
Yeah. And I was always doing it growing up, but then I really started getting into it, like getting into boxing, like right out of high school. But like my senior year, there's a boxing club I joined.
Okay.
And I really just kind of fell in love with it.
And the reason that you started it was to protect.
Yeah. I was scared,
Yeah.
and I was bullied in school and all the things.
Okay. Were you scrawny?
Nah, I started lifting weights sophomore year, and I was not scrawny. I was scrawny like until my senior year, and I put on some size. I was just thicker. But yeah. No.
Okay. So you told me before we came on air about a coach that then got you into some other stuff as well.
Yeah. So I was training, and then
How old are you?
I'm probably like 18, 19 at the time.
Okay.
I did a couple amateur boxing fights, but I had nobody. The town was so small. I had to drive for like sparring. There was nobody to spar with because I walked around at 205. So I had a hard time getting sparring partners.
Yeah, which is a good size.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's big.
And my buddy's like, hey, you should go train with my friend. He trains with Chuck Liddell out of the pit. And at this time, Chuck was like just become the champion. And the pit's notorious in San Luis Obispo. It's like all world-class high-level kickboxers and D1 wrestlers. And the pit was where Chuck and Glover Teixeira, all these high-level MMA guys trained out of. So I reached out to this guy, and the fight team trained at noon, and he had his own gym, like a branch of the pit in Santa Maria. So I started training there and just fell in love with kickboxing, and that's kind of what started that. And we're sparring hard, no shin guards. And back then it was pretty brutal. Everyone sparred. CT wasn't a thing. So, and probably in, early 20s, just going way too hard and getting banged up and competing, and shins are all cracked. And he was like, oh, I'd go over to his house. He's like, I was limping around. He's like, well, you should try a Norco, have a beer in Norco, sit in the hot tub. So I did. I'm like, oh, well, these are good.
Yeah.
Pain goes away quick.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of got me hooked on those.
So how did you get access to those from there? Like you get one.
He'd give me he'd give me like 2 or 3, and I'd kind of just squirt them away. I'd take a half. Because obviously your tolerance is super low at that time, it would make you sick. But then, so that, and I can always get everything somehow. Like I just know somebody, and everyone was hooked on them.
Yep.
So like I just started asking, I was like, can you get any Norcos? Like, yeah, I prescribed them. And like everyone had the fake prescriptions or had their mom that had a back surgery, and they're just so easy to get.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's never a good sign. So that's kind of what started that. But I never really abused it. Like it wasn't something I craved. It was just like once or twice during the week or on the weekends if I can get one. It never really like was an addictive part in my brain yet.
Okay.
And then the whole I competed for like 7 years traveling around, but I worked in Santa Barbara.
Kickboxing, MMA.
Just kickboxing.
Kickboxing.
Because I just wanted to go pro and move to Europe and do that whole thing. But I worked full time doing construction in Santa Barbara. So I was driving to work, then driving back home, then driving 2 hours up to practice, like just long days of training. Then I got burnt out on that. And I wasn't really too addicted to them at the time by then, but when I quit going up north to the pit and training with those guys, and I was back in Santa Barbara full time, that's when the addiction kind of kicked in, because that's when all my friends and my roommates had them. My roommate was addicted to them. I didn't know that at the time. So that was easy access. So then you just kind of start self-medicating. You kind of get them, and then, I wouldn't take them during the day at work. It's just almost like a night, like a reward for the end of the day. I get off work, I get done training, have a Norco, sit and have a beer. And that was kind of like the routine.
Yeah.
So you don't really think anything of it.
Yep.
But you're just slowly just building that tolerance. And then as it goes, it's worse.
Yeah, I think it's such an interesting thing about any sort of like substance use, how like when it begins, there's not any real thought. I mean, you just think like you're talking about, you're in your early 20s at this stage. And like in your early 20s, like for me, I certainly was not thinking about long-term implications of my actions, not to mention it was normal where I was, whatever I was up to. So there's that. But it wasn't like, what is this going to look like down the road? I mean, there just wasn't any, I don't know, foresight maybe is the appropriate term.
I mean, you're in your mid-20s, you're like the highlight of your life. Everything's great and you're just going a mile a minute. So thinking about your long-term health and addictions, you never I think addiction of heroin.
Right. There are the big scary
Yeah, it's like, these are just little Percocet and Norcos.
Right. And they're literally prescribed all over the place. People take them all the time. Okay. So you start with the habit, and at that time it's still small. Would you say that at that stage of things, there was any awareness at all around like, what is this, like anything at all? Or was it literally just,
I was pretty blinded by it. I didn't really, I just and one, I enjoyed the high. Cause also I called them like my anti-asshole pills, cause I was super hyper, and I used to be manic, like my mood swings, like the Dr. and Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing. So when I get in my little mood swings, I just like self-medicate and it calm me down. So
it was almost your way to make yourself more palatable to the world around you.
All the time.
Well, that's an interesting thing to desire.
Yeah. Well, I would just get like overwhelmed or annoyed with people. And then it just was like, I just liked my frequency when I was high. It just took me down just enough where I'm like,
yep.
Took the edge off.
Okay.
And then, I obviously like the high of it too. I like kind of like that loaded feeling.
Well, and so mine was a lot of uppers and never pain pills ever. Yeah. So actually any sort of experience that you've had with that's all, I don't know that because thankfully that was never one of the things I did. I had my fair share of problems, but pain pills was thankfully I remember, and it's so interesting because I remember some kids in high school getting into them, and I remember just being like, anytime that they would be high, I'd be like, they're a zombie, right? Like they're gone, And so I liked uppers because you certainly weren't a zombie. You were more entertaining, and boy, did I want to be entertaining. Sure. And
we did our fair share of uppers too. I mean, in the culture, it's just like weekend warrior doing coke,
sure.
but I didn't with Pills, it was a slippery slope because if you eat too many, or you get too high, you're just doing finger puppets. I mean, it was like, it makes you sick.
Yeah.
I didn't like that feeling.
Yeah.
It was just, I like just enough just to be like, I can deal with the day to day.
Did you bump up against that very often, or was that pretty, like, how frequently did you accidentally overshoot the mark at that time?
Well, when I was working full time again, what really kicked it off was all my friends, we started playing Call of Duty. So like we'd all get on our headset at nighttime, and then we'd like all were eating Orcos or Vicodin and whatever ones we can get on. And that was our like little thing. It'd be like 5 of us. We'd eat those and play video games till like midnight.
Does this mess with your memory or anything like that? Like, is there, okay. So
I have a lot of memory loss when I think about from 25 to 35. Like I don't remember a lot of things. I trip out on a lot. I'm like, damn, I don't remember. I have like little pictures and pockets in time.
Yeah.
But everything just kind of blended in because I was going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. So you would get on Call of Duty, whatever, with your buddies, and like y'all would be having a great time. Like in the moment, you're like, I love this. And then you'd come out of it and be like, I don't know what we did.
No, I'd remember it.
Okay.
Yeah, I can remember it all then.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I wasn't blacking out.
Okay.
I was very conscious and aware of what's going on, and I could remember the things. But like when I look back now, I'm like, that block of time, that decade was a little fuzzy. But then, you know, I never did them at work because I did commercial air conditioning, you know, sheet metal. So you're working construction on roofs, in attics, crawling attics. And then I realized like my anti-asshole pills, like, oh, what if I took a half in the morning before my breakfast burrito? It just set the tone of the day. So that's what started like, if I can function on them during the day now. So then it starts getting worse and worse and worse. So, but again, I was still doing martial arts. I was still doing kickboxing. I was still doing privates. I was functioning. So I couldn't ever derail because I had too many responsibilities and I enjoyed training. So it'd be like one day on, a couple days off, a couple days on, one day off. And then slowly be like, well, I can do it every day.
Yeah. Yeah. So you just continue to build and build and build.
And no one, the thing with the pills is like, no one really knows. If you don't fully just yard sale it and take like 10, like my old roommate would do, you wouldn't know. It's like taking a Xanax, like a half a Xanax. It just breaks you like just enough where you can function.
Right. Well, and I think if people are used to you like that, then like that's their norm of you. You know what I mean? Like I reflect back as well, and I'm like, man, with how, you know, because blackout drinking, I would do it for days on end, and it was just like just chunks of days of on end, like gone. And and at that time I didn't really have awareness. It was just so normal. But I think that I think people were used to seeing me in that state, and I appeared to be functional even though I wouldn't remember it. But of course, then I look back now at videos of situations like that, and I just see the glaze. I just see nobody's home. And so to some degree, it's like, how much did people know that something was actually wrong? But like, that was your normal operating state. So
I didn't even feel
I don't
anything
know.
was wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't even tell anything was wrong. It was normal to me too.
Right.
So nobody could know. I mean, when I drank and we partied, then people were like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay.
So how long did that go on?
That went on for quite some time because you can always get them. But like, again, it was weird because I can go a couple days or a week and it was just very inconsistent.
Yeah.
It wasn't till I got like mid 30s that it got more. I think I was happy in my life, so I didn't like doing air conditioning. I didn't like my job, and it's kind of burnout.
You weren't here yet, were you?
No, I wasn't here yet.
Okay.
And then the more people you know, everyone does them. Like everyone was doing something, but like pills were easy to get.
Yeah.
And like I said, I never would derail. Like on the weekends, I'd just go. I love going home and just watching TV, hang out with my cats, and just being high by myself. You know, when I say high, I was never just like loaded. You would never know. I could function.
Yeah, it was just your way to be.
The only way I can shut myself off. I can shut my brain off because all the external things I were doing that was creating more drama that I didn't even realize. Just being a douchebag male, you know, you're just creating more chaos, and then you be stressed out of that. And that's my way I can be like, oh, that's fine, and just
quiet the noise. So you've opted out of quieting the noise these days. So obviously that became less desirable to you over the course of time.
Yeah, it was I was just turning 40, and
How old are you now?
I'm 42.
Okay.
Actually, so I was in a relationship for like 4 years, and I wasn't really happy in the relationship.
Okay.
It was kind of a toxic relationship, and I finally got the urge to break up and kick her out. And she must have had a voodoo doll because she stabbed that bastard the next day, and I blew my bicep off the bone sparring.
Oh no.
So then I blow my bicep off the bone sparring,
And you have to take care of yourself.
and then COVID hit.
Oh,
So we had
my
full
gosh.
lockdown.
Yeah.
But the problem was, and I had like knocked the pills for a couple of years, or like about a year and a half.
Okay, so you had set them to this. You had decided, like, okay, you know what?
I'm taking a break from this.
Okay, how did that go when you took that break, though?
More drinking.
Okay, so you said, I'm gonna stop the pain pills because I realized that this is getting out of hand, but I'm gonna just uptake my alcohol.
Yep.
Okay.
And that was kind of, I was flipping and flopping. Like I stopped drinking for a while, then I did more pills, and I this and that.
Okay.
So I'd stopped, and then I tore my bicep off the bone. Then COVID happened, lockdown happened, had surgery. So now I'm not working, and I'm getting the government checks for like $5,000, and then you can't give somebody that loves pain pills unlimited pain pills. So I got it was painful, the surgery.
Yes.
So then you get 100 of those things. So that I was like, I guess we're partying this year. And that put me right back into it. And then the oxys came around. And then it was just like, but still very functional. You never know. But yeah, it's just, the doctor gives you 5 months worth of pills and way too many. And granted, I mean, I was in pain, but it's not enough pain where the pills didn't help the pain. It just makes you think it helps, but I could still feel my arm. It still hurt. It helps a little bit in the beginning, but I just like lit up like the 4th of July. I'm like, oh baby, we're back.
Yeah.
So all of COVID was I just said, let's just Percocet and White Claw this whole year. And just yard sailed it for a whole year.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, that's what so much of the world did, It's
yet
again,
the
boom.
We don't know what's going on in the world. Weird viruses going around and everyone just losing their mind. But I'm like, I ain't worried about it because I'm high and just chilling. And I had a good summer. But then I'd switched careers and ended up working for the federal government, got a government job doing like head of facilities and project management.
Okay. Still construction stuff?
It was still construction stuff.
Got it.
But you had to get like a top secret clearance. And like somehow, that's why I have no faith in the government because they hired me.
Oh, no.
No.
You're pretty reliable these days, though.
I fooled them. So I worked for the government and I just hated it. It was like golden handcuffs. I was miserable. Just miserable working there.
Okay.
And it was just not my culture. You're getting dumber working there. And then Sean was opening the boxing gym and I'd coached for him for 15 years at Paragon.
Okay, so you're in Austin by now?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, so you're still, okay, cool. You're still in
Santa
California.
Barbara. I'm still coaching his old gym.
Which was in Santa Barbara?
Was in Santa
I
Barbara.
don't think I knew that either. Okay, cool.
He had a mixed martial arts gym called Paragon Kickboxing and Jiu-Jitsu. And I was his head coach for like 15 years. So we've known each other for a long
You've been
time.
coaching for a long time. Yeah.
So then he had the plan to move to Austin to start this boxing gym.
What made him want to come to Austin?
Well, his wife works in tech.
Okay.
And she has her office out here at the time.
Okay.
And she was like, you should come check out Austin.
Is that how you met your girlfriend?
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Tricked her.
Hey, shout out.
It works. So then he made me a job offer. And internally, I was miserable. I wasn't happy in my life. And I was like, man, I'm turning 40. Santa Barbara is just the same boring town. No one's doing anything cool. I wasn't ready just throwing the towel in life, just slowly dying every day. There's not a lot of young professionals, not a lot of fun things. I mean, I'm not a beach guy, nor a nature guy. I'm pretty boring.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Santa Barbara's at least beach.
Yeah, it's all beach, but I never went to the beach.
Okay. Are you able to reflect now? I know it hasn't even been that long, but are you able to reflect now and like think like there probably were people there doing like other different interesting things and you just simply weren't in those circles?
Maybe it's a surfer town. It's a small college town, you know, and hiking is great, but I'm deathly allergic to poison oak and that's the state flower there. So I can't hike. Otherwise I have to go to the hospital and get shots. But martial arts wasn't big there. And I wanted to do martial arts.
Yeah.
And I was over traveling 2 hours to go train.
Is that what drew him here? Did he just become aware of the fact that like martial arts was really growing in Austin?
I think he wanted to separate from his partner, his business partner.
Gotcha.
And just open a traditional boxing gym because you know, boxing kind of got left behind as MMA got popular,
Mhm.
and most boxing gyms aren't not that good. They're not open to the public. They're not, you know, they're not catered for beginners.
That's so true. Yeah, I mean, you've definitely got those like you're gonna know better than I will, but the popular boxing fun hit class type things.
There's like the Rumble and the Soul
There
Cycle
we
of
go.
boxing,
Yeah.
which is still a workout, but it's not traditional boxing.
Right.
And old school boxing, it's very just, it's almost like they're almost like old dive bars. You go in there, you don't even feel like you should be there. If you're not going to be a fighter or want to pay to do privates with the coach, they're not going to pay attention to you. There's no structure, no hospitality. So that's what he was let down, because he traveled around to go check out all these boxing gyms, and he was pretty let down with just the mainline boxing gyms. And so that's what transpired, this thought to move to Austin. And then he ended up picking Austin. And then he made me an offer. And I was like, I just got my government job. Easy 6 figures, changing light bulbs, but slowly just miserable.
Yeah.
And went back and forth. And, you know, I was asking all my friends, and no one wanted me to leave, because I was like the town mayor of Santa Barbara. So selfishly, no one wanted me to leave.
Yeah.
And then I had a couple friends who were like, dude, you need to go. You've never left. Because I never left.
Yep.
They're like, you need to go. And if you don't like it, you can always come back. So then I ended up saying, hell with it. Packed up. Me and my brother and my cat drove out here, and the rest has been history.
Your brother?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny. Whenever it was age 30 for me instead of 40, but nonetheless, whenever I moved here, and I had a couple of friends, whenever I received the job offer that was going to take me out of what I had been in, I had started to receive offers in the fitness industry, but nothing was catching my eye enough. And then the right thing caught my eye, and then I arrived and then lost the job because they pivoted as a company. But anyway, still just a lot of gratitude. But it was a similar thing of, I had a couple of friends, like I went to dinner with some friends, and was just, I remember one friend in particular at this specific dinner, but either way, there were different conversations, many conversations had. And one of the girls was just like, you're comfortable. And you're not really like a comfortable girl. So why don't you? You know, and that stuck with me. And then I sat with that through the holidays prior to the decision to leave. And I was like, yeah, she's right.
Yeah.
You know, and you can always come back. So anyway, that's just funny.
And I look back, if I didn't leave, I mean, my life is insanely, I'm so blessed how great my life is out here. Like, I pinch myself because I've lucked out in life, and I would have missed all of that if I would have stayed in Santa Barbara, right? You miss 100% of the opportunities you don't take. So moving out here, I just quit all the pills. I left everything.
Okay.
So pretty much detox moving out here.
Okay.
So that was brutal.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
so you literally just like say goodbye to
So
it
I turned 40, had my 40th birthday party,
Okay.
having a going away party. So I wasn't working. So I had like 3 months of going away parties because everyone wanted to buy me whiskeys and steaks. So I gained like 40 pounds. And I was drinking, partying, having a great
Was
time.
Tyson like, get it together?
I was like, hell yeah. So when I moving out,
I said
what's that?
Tyson. I'm so sorry. When Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, he was out here. The gym wasn't even open yet. They just found a building.
Yeah.
So me and my brother road tripped, and we just drove 4 days, 5 days, partying, drinking, getting steaks, having a good time. And I got here on a Thursday night, and then I had to go train with Tim on a Friday, the next day, and do one of his ABCs.
Were you guys already friends?
Sean had linked up with Tim and trained with Tim, and was already in that group for like last 6 months training, doing all Tim's crazy workouts, and then brought me in. And oh boy, I envisioned me moving out to Austin and just kind of cruising, getting used to the town, but it was just right to fat camp, and they put me through it. It was brutal.
Why did you keep showing up?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm still working on that.
I tell you, it was because at the time the gym wasn't open, so we'd train at 9:30, do his crazy hard workouts, and this one was Tim and Shane and the guys were training 5 days a week, and it was hard. ABC, all the workouts were just stupid, and I wasn't in shape for it, and I was struggling, and your heart rate's through the roof. That was the worst part of my day. I woke up every day, I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna go train. It was brutal.
But you did it because you had your guys, and that was
well.
One of the
it takes a village, and it was a community. I felt blessed that I can train with these guys, and being a part of the Roca Lab and all the things, and it was fun. I liked the camaraderie, but they gave me so much shit. I was a new kid
for being out of shape.
With that, and it's a privilege to get in that group, and they're very picky who they let in their little circle. You know, they invite a lot of people, but nobody sticks around.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone just hit it off. And we train for we do a 2-hour workout, and then we go grapple for 3 hours. Be there for like 6 hours a day. But I was struggling because I was coming off not getting high, but I was drinking now because I was drinking more because I was stressed out. And boy, it was for a year. It took me about a year to get in good shape.
I was going to say you're in great shape now. So it's interesting to know that it wasn't even that long ago that you wouldn't say that.
Yeah, it took me about a year. So they had I was a fat guy, and I wasn't fat. They all say I was fat. I just had a little boiler on me, just thicker. And
normal or actually potentially even in shape to most.
Well, they're psychos, so they're elite. They're like above up here, like the normal here, and so they would give me so much crap for being out of shape, but like just teasing me more or less.
Yeah.
And they did a photo shoot. Sean was like, "We should use your camera crew, Tim, and we should do before and after pictures of Tyson." So I had the full camera crew come over. I had to take my shirt off, and I was a little heavier.
Do you have these photos?
We got to find them because it's like I was so embarrassed, but I had take my shirt off. I had tits and a boiler, and I'm just and I'd be like, "Hi, I'm Tyson. This is my story." It was brutal.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so they have full blown video. We need this.
I know. I have to find it.
Yeah, you do. Wait, can you please find that and send that to me?
Well, we've been trying to get it for the last year and a half, but he fired the guy that originally took all the photos.
Okay.
So they're somewhere buried in Tim's.
It's
But they need to come out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you move here, you're training hard, but now you're drinking a lot, and now what?
So, took a huge pay cut coming out here.
Yeah. Let's actually talk about that. So what motivated you? Because I did the same thing. I took a huge pay cut, and I'm still very in the thick of it.
Right.
And yet life is so fulfilling that as much as I'm eager to get out of the current financial situation that I'm in, I also wouldn't change that.
Me either.
That change of scenery and that whole life change. It's an interesting thing. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine that I respect a lot. She's been in the coaching world for 8 years, and she's doing very well, and she does retreats, and she's amazing. Shout out Tara. But she, in fact, I got to Tara LaFerrara. Do you know who she is? I got to show you. She's a freaking unit. But she's been doing it for 8 years. And so we were talking about I'm kind of 2 years into this, and I spent money over here that I shouldn't have spent, and I did this and whatever, and not nearly making the money that I was making in a career that was very comfortable and a totally different career path. But yet, so yes, there is financial stress today, and I'm eager to get out of that situation because I also believe that prosperity is really the more you have, the more that you can give, and so, but even with all of that current struggle, life here still feels so full.
Yeah.
Exactly. So anyway, you made the decision knowing that you were going to make a pay cut. Because
I just took a leap of faith. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to try it.
You trusted Sean.
I trusted Sean, and Sean's smart. He's a very smart business guy. And I just said, hell with it. I'll figure it out. Saved a bunch of money, paid off most of my debt for the most part, and just came out here and just kind of winged it.
Yeah.
And we were here for 3 months. I had 4 months. We weren't working. So I had my savings account, but I'm like, ooh, starting to get low. Starting to get low. And when the gym opened, then I started getting paid and everything started, and everything works itself out. But my day to day is so much better than it's ever been. I'm in my pajamas. This is my work attire.
I feel
it's I'm in my pajamas all day. I mean, you got to go to bed early, and you got to get up. You got to go to bed early and get up early. So, but it's pretty easy. You wake up, we teach a class, go work out, get tacos, get coffee, teach a class. I go take a nap and teach 2 more classes. The day is just stupid. It's and it's fun. It's the product we've built is just, it's so rewarding.
Yeah.
And all the members that we have are just truly, we have the best members I could ever ask for.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel very, very fortunate. I mean, everyone at that gym is just so kind, and they're not super athletic. It's not this is their first time doing anything.
Yeah. You have a very broad range of people coming in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's rad.
You brought it open to the public, which that was one of the things is this is not normal for a boxing gym, which by the way, we'll just touch on. The facility is absolutely beautiful. I've definitely been, and I had no context from that, world. I've spent a bit more time in some jiu-jitsu, and MMA gyms more recently than, well, I never had before until last year.
Right.
So a bit more familiar with that, but a lot of those are open to the public, and there's a lot, there's a broad range of people and all of that. And then tons of space or tons of time in gym spaces, right? Like traditional gym spaces and CrossFit gym spaces, loads of years in those, but I'd never been in an exclusively boxing gym ever. So I have no context, but I do kind of based on what I've seen online, like I can piece together what you're saying from different documentaries and whatever that I've seen of boxers. And so, yeah, the experience that was there was nothing like that. It was so polished. So
we wanted to have just like a super
beautiful.
clean, beautiful, everything's brand new. We have the 1940s theme. We're big on the golden era of boxing. We wanted to smell like an old shiny boot shoe store. But yeah, and people love it. I mean, when you go in, you're like, we clean everything. We clean the bathrooms. Everything's just cleaned every day. We care. We treat it like a 5-star hospitality service. And that resonates with people. People see that. People want to pay the money for that.
Right. So today you like your life so much, even though it's more simple, or not even necessarily.
I feel since the beginning of the year, since I moved out of my old apartment, I was living by the Domain, and I had a 2-bedroom, and the rent was too much, and I was just because I drive back and forth to the gym, and that was just killing me. And I was stressed financially, but like until the beginning of this year, when I finally moved in closer, I'm close to my girlfriend. I'm like 2 minutes from the gym. Like at first time, like all my finances, everything's just like, everything just clicked. It takes like 2 years, when you start over or more. It's hard.
Hit me.
And I was stressed out of my mind for the last 2 years. Just trying to figure out who I am, new relationship, new gym, all new friends, all new life. And I'm like, no opiates.
Well, and that's what, okay, so I want to get a bit more clear, because you chose to come here and tell the truth about your habits, and that's something that there is a lot of shame around, like we talked about. And so why do you want to be open and honest about that?
I don't know. I mean, I try to be pretty transparent, and how many other people in the world probably going through what we're going through and don't want to talk about it?
Sure.
Right. And I'm nobody special, but I have a really good life, and I have a lot of good friends in my life. And, the resume of people that I met out here, I mean, you couldn't pay for it.
Right.
Tim, Shane, the owner, Rob from Roca, everybody, my girlfriend, like I've just met Andy Craig, all the people from 10th Planet, all the guys I've just met so many amazing people that people would pay to be friends and just be in that clique. And I've lucked out.
Yep. So,
I'll tell my story because, there's no shame in it. I'm not embarrassed by it. It's just something that happened, and I overcame it. And if I can be a motivation to one person or two, whoever. Right. Because like when I posted on my Instagram, like I was saying, when I hit my year sober, like I was overwhelmed with the love I got. Like I had people messaging me in my DMs back from California, like, "Hey, I'm so proud of you. I'm a month right now. I'm 2 months in. I'm 6, and like talking about drugs and opiates and whatever it is, that's kind of like hush hush, and it's okay to talk about it. It's not. It's taboo. Everyone can talk about alcohol. Alcohol is okay to talk about, but you can't talk about cocaine. Can't talk about heroin. You can't talk about it. You can, but people don't feel comfortable talking about it. And there's a lot of people suffering. Yeah. There's a lot of people that are probably listening right now going, shit, that's me. And because I was lying to myself for the last 12, 20 years that it's okay, knowing that I should get off of it. But I'm like, I'll deal with it tomorrow. Yeah. So.
Yeah. How long would you say for large chunks of that like ate at you? Like the awareness of like, oh, you know what? I probably should knock this off, or like, this is getting to be more, I'm doing more of this and more of this. And did you I'm assuming at some point, maybe you started to look up, like even just like Google, like what are the long-term side effects?
Oh yeah. Towards the end, like when Oxycontins came out, when those like.
Yeah. During the pandemic.
Yeah. Those were just, I was like, oh man, I'm really pushing my luck right now. And thank God I got out of it before the fentanyl came in, because I would have been gonzo. And I always had like a reliable source through a doctor, friend of a doctor that, so I wasn't buying them off the black market. Yeah. But still, I mean, you start researching what it does to your liver, like all this acetaminophen. That's why I did Norcos, because they had less Tylenol. Right. But it can't be good for you. And I was thinking like, this is what I do for fun. This is what I look forward to doing. Going home and just being by myself and getting high. What life is that? And you can't casually bring that up with somebody.
Yeah.
You can't go offer like if you're over here and you're like, hell, you want a coffee? How about a Percocet? You know, you can't throw that out.
Yeah. You got to do that in private.
You want some acid? It's like, no.
Yeah.
So it makes you kind of have this like skeleton in the closet that you kind of ashamed of. You can't talk about it. Because like you said, like the podcast, once you put this out there, it's out there. You can't take it back. But I'm not ashamed. I'm embarrassed. I mean, if anything, I like to tell my story. So if somebody else can hear it and be like, that resonates.
Yep.
Maybe get them the strength to build up the courage to even talk about it.
Right.
Or ask for help.
Right. Well, and that's so one, I've got a couple thoughts. One is, I was actually just having a conversation with a close friend that's in recovery as well. And they were talking to me about they just attended a thing for someone who relapse is a common thing in recovery, and someone who like went on ahead and decided they were going to have a few drinks and, within 12 hours was gone, fentanyl.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a reminder of where things can go. And like you talked about, fentanyl wasn't really around during your stint, and thankfully mine either. But that's absolutely terrifying, because I feel confident that although alcohol was always my drug of choice, and it was always, it was always involved, I would do other things, but it was always there. And then there was other stuff. I know that if I were to think it was okay to do that for me again today, because of my relationship with that substance and how once I begin, I cannot stop.
Addictive personalities, don't
I just don't, there's, I mean, it's a disease.
Sure.
And so anyway, I have no faith that I could then go do that like a normal person.
No.
And then therefore I'm a ticking time bomb till I need something else and something else. And then
just start anteing up.
And then it's, so what's beautiful about that when it comes to substances is that abstinence is an option. We talk about like the ism, like it's just this. So mine was alcoholism or whatever, workaholism, or like these are, so there are areas where it's like, it's okay to kind of dump some energy here and here. And like, maybe it's not so okay over here. And, that's just one. I'm grateful that abstinence is an option, because I think the other big one right now is food, of course, that our relationships with food, because of our ultra processed food situation, it's just so easy. I actually was listening to a couple of different interviews with Johan Hari, I believe is his name. I listened to, I think it was Chris Williamson, Modern Wisdom last week. And then I listened to Rich Roll interview him yesterday. So the same guy interviewed by two different people, two different perspectives coming at him. I really enjoyed it. And Rich Roll was just like, the underlying issue. And it was a fascinating conversation. And I'm paying attention to this because I coach people with their nutrition all the time.
Sure.
And so like, I already have had clients who have been taking this. And so I'm trying to gain as much awareness as I can around it, given the popularity that it's already had and what it's anticipated to do. But I really liked Rich's like, yet again, when are we going to turn and face the reasons that we do what we do? And in that conversation I was having with Tara, we were just like, even with our eating habits or any of our habits, our addictions, it's like, it's something else in here that we're just avoiding and not dealing with. And it just manifested as this thing. Mm-hmm. But you also talked about like trauma playing into it. And now I know that you lived in fear as a kid, and that motivated you to get into kickboxing, which is so cool because it actually gave you the gift of this passion that you carry today. Mm-hmm. But I have curiosity around turning point for you, because you stopped the pills when you left, but then you kept up the alcohol, and then now you've been sober altogether for over a year. And so like, when you decided to like fully shut all of that down, what was going through your mind at that time? Did you reach out for help?
I didn't reach out for help. I read the book Outlive by Peter Attia.
Yeah, great book.
I read that, and that just tripped me out. I'm like, oh shit, it's intense. When you start thinking about Four Horsemen and everything in that book. Uh-huh. And then I was listening to the Huberman Lab on alcohol and what it really does. So I think the two of those stressed me out, like from just drinking and the drugs.
Interesting.
And I was on this journey of trying to be healthy, and I'm like doing everything right, but I'm drinking. So what am I? And I was hungover all the time, or mildly hungover. And then I had a couple health incidents. I hurt my neck doing jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. This is the first year I moved out here. Nogi, yeah. Mm-hmm. My old good buddy Sean, I tapped twice and he kept squeezing me.
Oh no.
What
happened?
No, I just talk a lot of shit when we roll anyways, but so everyone goes a little more, goes rougher with me anyways. Yeah. But he got me to guillotine. I just didn't tap fast enough, but I blame it on him. But I popped something in my neck, and I was in excruciating pain that week, like bad pain. Like, I think I tore something. I didn't have health insurance. at the time.
I know that.
So I was like, I guess I'll just drink more wine to go to bed to try to knock it out. And I came to work one day. I was driving to work and I looked in the mirror and I'm like, can't close my eye. That's weird. And I'm like, fuck, I can't smile very well. I'm like, I'm having a stroke. So I show up to the gym. I'm like, Sean, look at, I can't move. He's like, what? He's like, you need to go to the hospital. So I'm like,
what?
I call urgent care. Now my face is like locked out. I'm like, I'm having a stroke. It's caught up with me. I'm going to die. I call urgent care. They're like, come in. So I'm driving over there. My heart's racing. And they call me back. They're like, you need to go to the hospital. I'm like, fuck. So now I'm on the freeway, like geeking out. Like, this is it.
And your anxiety is probably grabbing a hold of this and running
through the
rampant.
roof. Because now my face is like fully locked. And I'm like, so I drive to the hospital.
And you're driving yourself?
Yeah.
What?
I didn't know what to do. I'm like, I'm not even awake. I was all hungover. My neck was killing me. So I get to the hospital. They admit me as I'm having a stroke. Spent 3 days in the hospital.
Did you actually have a stroke?
No.
Oh.
3 days in there, all the tests. I ended up getting Bell's palsy. Of all the things. High cholesterol and Bell's palsy. Random. And talk about a mind fuck on that.
Is that something that you still have?
No.
Okay.
No. It's just, they say stress will cause it, or you can have a dormant virus that will activate it.
Okay.
I'm thinking I was just stressed because I didn't sleep for 4 nights. And
which you've heard Huberman talk about how crazy that'll make
right. I think, and just the drinking and all the stress just from that year building up, who knows? But it was bad. I mean, if I didn't smile, you couldn't tell. But when I went to smile, like half my face was locked. And then like you just start mind fucking yourself. You're like, is this gonna be like this forever?
Right. I was gonna say, yeah, you're completely normal to me now.
So I had to teach class like that. And like I'm a very energetic, animated human being. Totally. And like when I'm quiet, people are like, are you all right?
Yeah.
Kind of person.
Yeah.
So I had that, and I started going to a Chinese doctor, and he was doing acupuncture. And I was doing all the research, and they said like 95% of it comes back, but still wasn't refreshing. And I had to go to Arkansas to meet my girlfriend's family for the first time. So I show up to Arkansas like paralyzed. I'm like, yeah, boxing's safe. You know, it was just so embarrassing. No. I'm just like, it was stressful. I looked like Shrek. It was just not a good look.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
But my face came back 100%.
Yep.
So yeah.
Okay. So wait, that happens, and then that's so that's the time. Is that when you decided, like, that's when you were like, okay, no more alcohol?
Well, I was drinking a lot then. I was kind of like going, I need to cool it. You know, like I'm out here trying to be this, and I'm still anchored. I still have this weight on me. And I was, you know, in my profession, we're around people all day long. And I just realized, like, even though I wasn't getting hammered every night, but a couple drinks, and I already have sleep apnea. And so I have to wear a CPAP mask every night. And I was just hungover, and I just felt like crap. And I just realized my demeanor of life was I was just edgy. I wasn't myself. I just felt I was being short with people for no reason. I'm like, this is not good for business. This is not good for anything. And then
did Sean call you out on that?
No, because you couldn't really know. I mean, you wouldn't really know. Like nobody could tell.
Yeah.
I just felt it. I felt my frequency. I might in the mornings I'm a little more snappy, not as pleasant, but for the most part, I mean, I could fake it pretty well. I can just bottle everything up and just do what needs to be done. But then I'd crash. Like I'd put on the show, I'd be happy, and I'd take epic naps during the day, then go work out and take a nap, and like that's kind of how it was. I felt like shit all the time. I'm just over it. I'm like, I can't do this. And I was telling about my girlfriend, and you know, she comes from alcoholism and drugs and stuff, and she's got 2 teens. And I couldn't be the man for her with all this going on. You know, I couldn't step up, and it was never really a problem, but I was like reflecting, like, what does it look like if I'm just on the couch drinking 2 bottles of wine on a Saturday? And like the kids see it, even though maybe they didn't care or whatever. It's like, that's not what I want to be. I can't, this is not, what if something happened and I'm drunk? And I just couldn't show up for her. And I know that probably aided her, and I know she wasn't attractive, you know? So she was a big reason, was like the extra motivation for me. It's like, all right, I'm doing this for me, but I'm also doing it for her. And that was kind of like, after reading the books and the Huberman, and I was like, you know what? If I can get through a week, if I can get through one day, I'm fine. So I'd go like 1 day, 2 days, and I'd stub my toe. I'm like, shit, I'll have a whiskey. You know how that goes? So that happened. And then I was like off and on. for about a month. And then on May, I'm like, all right, I'm doing it this day. Today, I'm not going to drink today. And then got through it, all fine. Next day, and I told myself, if I can make it a week, then I can make it 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 week, 7 days, boom. All right, another week. And it just went day by day, hour by hour. And then once you get to a month, then I get stubborn. I'm like, I can do this. I'm doing this. And then just slowly built. But it was hard.
Yeah.
You know, I don't miss drinking. I miss the idea of it. I miss the fact that I can't do it, you know? But when I was drinking, I was never present.
Mm-hmm.
You're always in fantasy land. You're just creating whatever. I was never present anywhere in my life because you realize alcohol doesn't make the situation that much better.
No.
You're just fast forwarding your life.
Yeah.
You're just putting everything on pause and fast forwarding. And it's like, I don't want to hang out at a bar anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
You know, it's like not really having fun.
So what did you change as far as like over the course of the first year? What were because like there were probably some things that were maybe triggering to that craving for it that you maybe have had to eliminate or change or anything like that? Because one of the things that I think is a call out I wanted to mention too is, you know, like for me, I chose to reach out to a friend and say, I need help. Now, this is my experience with substances, which is not yours, you know?
Right.
And I choose to continue to stay plugged into a recovery community today because I really benefit tremendously from it and get the opportunity to be of service there. And that's important to my journey with it. That was all stuff that was taught to me. But anyway, it doesn't look the same for everyone.
No, I white knuckled it and I wouldn't recommend that. I wouldn't recommend that.
Okay.
But I was like, I already kicked one habit.
Mm-hmm.
What do I need this one for? I just realized when I was drinking, every time I got drunk, I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
I don't like this feeling anymore.
Yeah.
You know, to quit, you have to suffer enough. Once you've had enough suffering, you're like, this is not good.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't enjoy it. When I drank, I didn't like where my mind went.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't enjoy it at all. Maybe for the first, like I said, I liked the thought of like, let's go get a whiskey.
Sure.
And then I had a whiskey. I'm like, alcohol never tastes good anyways.
Mm-hmm.
I never enjoyed the taste of any of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't like what it did to my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And then the depression and my mood swings. And so I was just more stubborn. I'm like, I got myself in this mess. I'm going to get myself out of this mess.
Mm-hmm.
I went to one meeting with a friend of mine. He's in a program, but it didn't resonate with me.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't my thing. I know those things are huge for people and I support everybody that needs that. And you should do it. I mean, you know, it takes a village for all those things. And those things are wonderful. Mm-hmm. Myself, I think I was too my pride and my ego. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I can do this myself. Mm-hmm. So I just struggled and I white knuckled it, but I have the gym to fall back on. I'm busy. I create my own chaos of being busy and productive. So I didn't have a lot of time to sit around and feel sorry for myself.
Mm-hmm. What do you feel like are some of the benefits that you've like, now that you've got a little over a year of like total sober under your belt, like what are some of the things that you've noticed that have gotten better in your life?
My relationship with myself, you know, like I can step back and think more clearly. I can appreciate more. I'm way more grateful. I have way more empathy than I've ever had in my life.
Do you have any sort of gratitude practice in place or anything?
No, my girlfriend does. She's big on all that stuff. And I should try all that. But, you know, she's like, my girlfriend's everything that I'm not and everything I aspire to be. She is like the best woman, the best human ever.
Okay, I love her.
She'd be a philanthropist if she could. I mean, she cries all the time. She's pure love.
Yeah.
And she cares.
Yeah.
And you know, she does therapy and she practices and she does breath work and all.
Can I hang out with her?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, she's a gem.
Okay.
But just seeing who she is and how much she loves and cares and is like, I want to be more like that. Mm-hmm. So I forgot the question.
Benefits in your life over the first year. Yeah, but I mean, that's a benefit is that relationship got better. The relationship with self part is massive because once we get all of this numbing stuff out of the way, we have to acquaint with self. And it's weird. It certainly was weird for me. Mm-hmm. Whenever in those early days for me, it was like, oh yeah, now you're going to sit with yourself. And I'm like, excuse me, what?
Right.
I don't do that.
Right.
That sounds awful. But then the more I remember early too, one of the things I was so scared about was like, I was the fun girl, you know? And so I was fun. So I was so scared that like when I gave that up, like I was also going to give up my fun.
Sure.
And so it took
your
a while.
identity.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And so then when I chose to get sober, like I was like, who am I without this? And so then it was really cool over the course of the first, 90 days, just outright hard. There's no denying that. That was just, it was lonely. It was scary. I cried a lot. It was confusing. I don't know. I didn't know where I belonged. And then, but by at least like the 9-month mark, I had certainly done some work getting acquainted with self, and we continue on that journey indefinitely, right? But like I remember just being like, I'm a riot without it,
Right.
And now I don't even care if you like it.
Right.
Like of course I'm not going to go and like try to frustrate people or whatever, but my need for everyone else to love me just kind of I'm not saying it's not there. I'm not going to pretend that I don't still walk in a room and want to be adored. That's false information. I'm not claiming that. But just to like be able to be comfortable with yourself,
Well,
like that's such a huge thing that, and it's not perfect all the time, because even still for me today, what that will look like is I'll want to distract and numb via pick up my phone, pick up a snack, something like that. If it's not this, it's that,
Sure.
So we're human.
I'm 100% happy with the person I see in the mirror now. Like all my decisions, like there's no anchors. I mean, there's little anchors, but nothing like that. So
Yeah.
I'm just proud of who I am. And everybody in Austin is just, I'm blown away by the people that I have in my life.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't get that for being a loser,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm doing something right, but
Right. And you absolutely are. You're right. You don't get to be in those rooms if you don't belong in those rooms.
sure,
Yep.
and Tim, what he instilled in me was just integrity and discipline. And those two things are huge, integrity of a person. So everything, I mean, my life is just, it's night and day difference after about a year, I really I can get comfortable with self. And I have way more stuff inside to do. Then my next chapter is to start digging back and peel the onion and do the
Because you
internal
read
work.
it, Tia, so you know his final chapter about emotional health.
Yeah.
Well, how'd that make you feel?
That
He spent the whole first massive portion of the book talking about all the ways to optimize your
Right.
health.
Yeah,
And
I
then
mean,
that last
I'm
chapter.
a big believer in therapy. I had a therapist back home who I loved, who I resonated with. Because the problem is you cycle through a bunch and you got to see which ones work and which ones don't work. And then you have to tell the same story. And it's just like, here we go again.
Yeah.
I've yet to find one out here, but I want to get back and start. Well, I want that. That's got to be a part of my journey forever.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I actually will ask for, I've got a friend who like really loves hers. So yet again, it's a female and I don't know what that looks like.
I recently had a female and I liked it because I just wanted to get a female's perspective on things.
Yeah.
Especially for relationships. And I really liked her. I just liked her energy, and I like just learning the differences. There's a big difference between the male and female therapists, obviously, but
Yeah.
it was good to get her perspective on things and maybe the things I wouldn't pick up from a male. But yeah.
Yeah. Right now I've done some work with a therapist over the past few years as well, and we'll surely do more. But one of the things that's so helpful to me is like I have like specific mentors that like that's their assigned role.
Yeah.
And so when I call them, their role is to give me perspective. And so it's great because they know the principles that I'm attempting to live by in life. And so they can make those call outs. And then I also just kind of put people in different buckets of like, okay, if you want what I have in this area of life, then I'm going to speak with you about that and gain some, whatever. And if you like just kind of, okay, so here's my financial mentor and or mentors, and here's my recovery, here's my spiritual, here's my whatever. And they don't all have to just, one person
Rolodex
doesn't need
of
to
connections.
cover. Right. Yeah. And I'm so with you as far as like, when you look around, in fact, it's even why I've continued on with the podcast, is just because like, I look at the people I get to be around being here and the conversations that I get to have. And I'm like, it feels unfair who we get to be connected to. So that definitely, like, I very much relate to that. And I believe that one of the things that probably like, why do you get to be in that room? Like, you're a hard worker and you care. Like, that's obvious to me from every interaction that we've had. And I really believe that those are probably really key pieces of why you get invited back in those rooms.
You can just show up and be loyal and just be yourself. I'm not trying to, everybody wants something from somebody.
Yeah.
I just live within my means, just be kind and just stay in your own lane in life and things will work out. And if it doesn't work out, so what? You still can keep your moral compass straight.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay. I do want to ask you real quick. This is kind of random, but because you have actually, to me, you're in great shape today.
Mm-hmm.
Great shape. So what are some of your favorite things when it comes to your like diet? Because your habits are probably predominantly like boxing, working out with the guys, which is similar to CrossFit, what it looks like y'all do. Intensity.
Yeah.
In addition to that stuff, nutritionally, what's some of the stuff that you do? Because I feel like you guys are pretty jacked and shredded.
Yeah. I mean, I get my blood work done every quarter.
Okay.
I had hypertension and high cholesterol, so I take a little bit of medication for both.
Okay.
Just because I couldn't get them down naturally. Mm-hmm. So that kind of spun my brain. So I kind of do my diet off my blood work. So now like my blood work's perfect. Cholesterol's perfect. APOB's like every.
All right. So but your blood work.
What happened?
What?
The camera not working anymore?
Oh yeah. That one eventually she gets about an hour and some change. And then she's like, and I'm tired. Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're back.
Yeah. And eventually I will get another battery for that, but I lost the other one. So we're just rocking with this and it's fine. They just clip over. I color grade them. It's not the end of the world.
Back to the phone.
It's fine. That one's picture is slightly better, but obviously iPhone is kind of crushing it. So like, it's really not a big deal. Okay. So your blood work, that's your...
I do my blood work and I kind of do my diet off my blood work now, but I mean, I eat super clean.
Mm-hmm. What is super clean?
I'll have like today I'll have like 3 fried eggs and an avocado for breakfast and some blueberries. Mm-hmm. And then I do Greek non-fat yogurt with the Jocko protein powder.
Okay.
Some honey, some nuts.
Mm-hmm.
That's like my lunch snack. And then I'll have either poke for dinner when I eat out, when I get fancy.
Have you had poke?
No.
Oh my gosh, you have to have it. It's a little bit down this way. It's on South Congress, but I think they actually have like a food truck location as well. Anyway, it's the best poke in Austin.
Yeah, Poke Works is in my little 2-mile radius, so it works for me.
I understand that's where you're going to go on a regular basis, and that's fine. But venture out, get real wild one day, and try Poke.
All right.
You will thank me. Do you like spicy stuff?
Not really.
Okay, that's okay. They have other great non-spicy options. I was just going to tell you the spicy option because I like spicy.
I can't handle heat.
You're good.
Then I'll have like steak, chicken, fish, eat salads, try to get my fiber. That's pretty much, I eat the same thing every day.
Yep.
And I love it. It's just as good as it was the day before.
Yeah.
I get just excited to eat it.
Yeah. It's food.
I'll have tacos. Like we go to one taco by the gym. That's like my splurging.
Mm-hmm. But you probably go right after you work out.
Yeah.
When your body knows best what to do with carbohydrates and stuff.
I honestly feel better. Like I'm in the calorie deficit and just drink a lot of water. And my body just feels good now. Like I got this like high, it's like a hot rod. Thing runs on 91, not 87.
Yeah.
Start pinging if I put bad stuff in there. Problem is my girlfriend's got kids.
Yeah.
And they got cookies and crackers. And
sure.
I can only walk past that pantry so many times. I'm like, and I'm a gluttonous bastard when I start eating too. So I have no self-control. That's why I can't have any of that stuff in my house. Mm-hmm. But if I stay at my house and stay in my lane, everything's good.
Yeah. Well, I love just the awareness because it's yet again, I'm going to refer back to that Ozempic thing that I was listening to, and it was just the guy had such interesting perspectives and he was like, it's a, and I hope I don't use the incorrect terms, but like a synthetic solution to a synthetic problem. Maybe it was manufactured, whatever it was not natural. Right. And he was just saying like, it's a drug for a problem that is ultra processed food that is not food. It's manufactured food, so they've manufactured a drug to deal with manufactured food. And as long as we're in the manufactured food environment, because I really grapple with this. And whenever my first clients started to toy with it, of course, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is brand new. We have no idea what this looks like over the course of time. And it makes me very nervous. And drugs in general, I think that there's a certain degree of caution that we should probably enter with. Yeah. That's my opinion. But then also I have, loved ones that are severely obese who them getting a solution to their obesity could give them many more years back on their lives. So it's like a really weird, interesting thing. So that's why I'm choosing to kind of keep awareness around it. And as I have clients that are, anyway, it was just, I liked that the thought processes around just like this ultra processed food, like everything about it totally like undermines our natural hormonal responses to food. Mm-hmm. And so whereas when you eat your blueberries and eggs and steak and chicken and yogurt and all of these like foods, you get the satiety. Like you're like, all right, I'm good.
I feel good. And I like to eat organic and that you have to cook it, right? Mm-hmm. Nothing processed. Mm-hmm. It's got more than like 3 ingredients and I shouldn't eat it.
Yeah.
And if I'm like a robot anyways, I like the same thing. I function so well in routine.
Totally.
The minute I get off my routine, I get all manic and grumpy and it's like, I like my order and I'm fine in it.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think that you're actually that unique in that, to be honest. Like, I think that most of us, even though some of it, we like variety as well here and there, we typically do better in routine.
Yeah. And,
as creatures.
We train like psychopaths.
Yeah.
So like it goes
You train like a psychopath. I don't think I do.
No?
No.
Damn it.
I think that people think that I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And don't get me wrong. If you want me to turn it on, it's always there.
Yeah.
I've got it. Like, if you needed me to go do something real crazy right this minute, I'll have it.
Yeah.
And I'll do well. Yeah. I upkeep it. Like right now
I'm
I
bullied
do
in the group, so I don't have a chance.
You what?
We're bullied in our group.
Yeah. No, at this point my goal is body composition changing from the perspective of just outright, here's the truth. I know that the more that I grow my glutes and my legs, the more that my coaching business will probably grow. And I believe strongly that my coaching business is really good. Also, the more lean mass that you have on your body, the better you have more body armor to deal with if you get injured or ill. So there's outright physical like benefit of the more skeletal muscle mass that I have, the better off I'm going to be.
Have you had a DEXA scan?
DEXA, no, I've done in-bodies a bunch, and I definitely am, I've got a lot of lean mass on me. But I'm playing with the body composition thing more for fun than anything.
Sure.
But as a result of those things, I've had to way taper back the intensity, the volume of the intensity. I used to do really high volume and high intensity all the time. And these days I do a lot less of that. So I make sure to keep enough of my CrossFit style training in. And what that looks like is maybe like twice a week, something like that. So that'll way, like, I always know that it's there when I want it. And I love training that way. It makes me feel so empowered and capable. I love it. And then there are days where I just go get, do some compound lifts, some isolation machines and call it a day. Anyway, that's my perspective on it today. But that's fun. It's different seasons. But yeah, so your training right now is largely you just crush yourself every day?
Yeah, which I'm realizing like I'm just frying my nervous system. Like it's hard because our job mentally it's draining, Yes. I don't have enough bandwidth because, you're peopling all day long. So
coaching is very high demand.
Yeah, and especially at our gym, we give it all every class. I do anyways.
That's what I've heard too from your members.
Yeah, we try. But the training, we've tapered down. I'm not doing as much Tim workouts because he's gone a lot.
I was gonna say y'all
we're all over the place. I'm like, good, I'll be over here. So I've been doing a lot more striking. I've been doing more grappling, but grappling beats you up just as much as anything else.
Absolutely. Do you do any sort of weight training? I mean, you have to because you're jacked.
I do.
You do with them.
I just do EMOM.
Yeah, when they're
like today, like I did a 20-minute EMOM of pull-ups, squats, and push-ups. I do push-ups, squats, pull-ups, kettlebell swings, ball slams, burpees. Like every day, that's like my warm-up, or that'll be the workout. That's kind of my range of motion. We'll do, if we go to Roca, we'll do like a Rooney or something. But it's just so preposterous. Sometimes you're like, oh, this is so much volume. You know what? I feel sick for 4 days after this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, man. It's so funny. It's watching everybody's individual journey with fitness and just being like, yeah, I get it. Sometimes we really throttle it and sometimes we pace it back a bit.
I'm trying to find the balance now. I mean, I'm in shape and I can maintain and trying to train less and do more recovering. But the problem is my body craves it now and my mind craves it. So if I don't do something intense, I still don't feel right. So just...
Totally. That's literally every time I do like an intensity workout, I tell Jimmy, because he's usually around, not always, but often he'll be around. And I'm like, I just need this for my brain. And he's like, that's great. Yeah. But he also, whenever he first met me, that was something that was intriguing, I believe, to him about like, she's wild, in my fitness. Because anytime, that's the thing, is I want to touch on it often enough to always be like, yep, still there. Yep, still there. And then not doing so much volume of it that I get to get stronger at the same time.
Yeah, I'm just learning it's okay not to train every day, and I'm enjoying taking it. Like Wednesdays, I don't work out.
Yeah.
Saturday doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And if I wake up, I don't feel great. But its problem is because we're on a group chat with the boys, and it goes from the minute I wake up and it's just talking shit and memes, this and that. And like, what time we train? And it's like, oh, fine, 9:30.
Yeah. Dude, that's funny. Well, and I love that you have the perspective of not needing to work out every single day. And you're right, movement is medicine. Medicine for the brain, medicine for the heart, medicine for all of it. And so like finding that balance of like getting movement in so that you feel good about yourself. And then also not so much that your nervous system.
I've been doing the sauna a lot more because I have a brand new sauna at my apartment complex.
Oh, heck yeah.
Which I love.
Oh, that's cool.
So I go in there. I do it every day. Try to do like 20 minutes. But you start glitching. It gets hot as hell. Like 180.
It's so hot here already.
I know, I'm sweating.
We keep ours like 200 plus over on it. And I'm like, we are unwell. But we also have a few cold plunges right outside.
I can't do the cold plunge.
Oh, I love it. What do you mean you can't do it?
You can just take my man card because I can't get into that.
It's so good.
I hate the cold. Like I can't even get in the pool on a sunny day. Like I'm just tiptoeing in. I'm the biggest Mary when it comes to cold water.
Interesting.
So I couldn't get in the ocean.
I will say what I like about it is the very first time I did it, I've told the story many times, but I did it for the physiological benefit. I just was training a lot. The volume was high and I was just broken down. And, but I got out after doing like I went cold sauna, and the cold I did for like 3 minutes. And that's typically what I do now.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being like, guys, you should be marketing this as like for people in recovery for them to like feel a little high.
Sure.
So I'm just saying, I mean,
You know,
I don't know.
I mean,
Your
I
journey,
believe-
but I feel a little high afterwards in a good, safe way.
I believe the science. I'm just good with the arthritis. I mean, the problem is lovely Tim, because I go to Tim's house every Sunday and we barbecue, shoot bows, and we work out. And we got the cold plunge. And I think it was me, Satoshi, and Tim. And I didn't know he was doing a live video. You know, he's got 2 million followers. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the damn cold plunge. I didn't know he's filming.
Oh, that's funny.
So obviously I look like the biggest bitch getting into the thing. I'm like, covering my nipples and it's like 100 degrees out. And I'm just like, I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like when I watched it, I'm like, God, you bitch. And I get in and I get all the way under and I just jump out. Boom.
Yeah.
And he posted that on his Instagram to shame me.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not supposed to read the comments, but oh boy, they were funny. I got barbecued in the comment section.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. But I've done it that time.
Thankfully, we can know that the internet is the wild west,
Oh, yeah.
and we just that's fine.
I've tried it 3 times. And they have it down to like where it's gelatinous when you put your hand in there. That's not good. Like 37, 36.
Oh,
You know, it's too cold.
it's cold.
It's like almost freezing.
Yeah.
That's not good. I wonder if it's 50 degrees or 37. Are you still getting the same cold shock proteins?
I think that those benefits still remain the same. I think it's purely just the mental fortitude situation.
I'll do 50.
that you're gaining. Yeah. No, seriously. I mean, like physiological. I think that you're still good at those if that's what you're looking
Yeah.
for. Yeah. We can go to Huberman for that.
Right.
We keep them at different temperatures over on it, and one of them is now finally a little bit warmer. And by a little bit more, I mean closer to 50, because they were
That
all
seems
just
way more
so
tolerable.
cold.
Yeah, it's too cold.
Yeah, and so we were like, we could just do one that was like a little bit more palatable for people. And anyway, it's funny. Okay, so I think that's about all as far as my questions for you goes. When it comes to recovery, I have one other thing that I always do, but when it comes to is there anything else you wanted to be sure and touch on that you feel like when it comes to your story that would be useful for someone else? I know that, we talked a little bit about your childhood, but anything like that, like any other, therapy has been a useful tool for you to be able to reflect and look back and see where maybe some of these behaviors were born, or the distraction, or anything like that. Is there anything else that you feel like would be useful that you want to share? You feel like you pretty sufficiently covered it?
I think we covered most of it. I think working out has been our saving grace. Like that's been, obviously it's an addiction and we like to work out, but it's a good addiction and it's fun. And like the fact that I had that as my ground base my whole life was huge. I think just goes to show you just stay in shape, stay fit. Life is better and easier when you're in shape. Way better when you're fit and shape. Like everything, all the stars align when you're in fit, because the byproduct of that is you're going to bed earlier, eating, and everything just works when you stay fit.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Being empowered in your body. It's something that I've actually not these past 2 days, which I'm super grateful for. And I feel like as soon as I say this, I'm even almost shaming myself, because I understand that the gravity of other people's situations is so much greater. But for like a week, I was just experiencing some unique symptoms of like lightheadedness, dizziness, nausea, and couldn't really place why it was going on, but it was like going on throughout the day for like a week. And so whether that's like being in a public setting, walking across the room, feeling like I'm floating, or, at this big event where I want to be public, or even just with my clients one-to-one, and I'm not used to that. Right.
Yeah.
And so that made me really uncomfortable. And then my anxiety was just like, and now you have XYZ, all these things wrong, and then I get mad because I'm like, well, then what's the medical solution? And I'm probably not okay with it anyway. Like, say something is really wrong. And then, just
we're all the same. We all have the same problems. We all think
fear,
of the same. Yeah. It's all
anxiety,
the same stuff.
It's so human, and that whopping week of those things. And thankfully today I feel pretty good. And yesterday I felt pretty good, and I'm hopeful to just be over it. And maybe I was just kind of spinning out on something that wasn't that severe.
Probably this
But,
coffee
you
you
know,
gave
well,
me.
I literally am down to, like I said, like 1 cup a day, and I'm about to go decaf because I'm like, even any sort of stimulant at this point, I'm like, oh, I don't know. But it was just a good reminder of how being in your body and feeling capable in it is just like a gift that when you have it can be really easy to take for granted. And recognizing that more people than not don't feel that way. They don't feel like they have the capacity to get up or down a few flights of stairs if the building is on fire or something like that. And that's actually like a very scary thought. And so, yeah, I love that you're just touching on like what's another piece of this that's really important for you, the like physical fitness side of things, because the gifts that gives are just exponential, I feel.
It's our world, right? I mean, I'm in the fitness world. And you got to practice what you preach, right? I don't want to be out of shape boxing coach. There's too many of those.
Yeah.
It's not a good look.
Yeah.
You know, I try to lead, Sean and I both try to lead by example, you know, and I think that resonates with a lot of people.
Yeah. And I would say that from what I've seen, you guys absolutely do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, cool. Your final question is 3 things that you're grateful for today. Here's your gratitude practice, like it or not.
Ooh, I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for my girlfriend.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for my family and friends.
Okay. I like
Does that
it.
work?
People. That's been an ongoing thread. Another thing I do, I've got this class that I coach on Thursday nights over at On It as well. And I always go on a walk with them afterwards. And we say one thing we're grateful for. Everybody does. That's just my annoying little habit. And like, yet again, last
I'm grateful
night,
for
like,
this.
Yes. Yeah, me too. This is such a cool container to me.
Yeah.
To be able to like encapsulate these things and then refer back to them anytime that you want to. It's just, I really enjoy it. So thank you for volunteering your time and volunteering your story. And especially the part about, you know, like speaking honestly about the slippery slope that is these prescription medications that are just really easy to get access to. And whether yours was pain pills or mine was Adderall or whatever, it's a slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
But we've pulled through it.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing that was the common thread with them last night was consistently like, oh, I went and did this really cool physical feat and my family was there. Or I did, you know, and my mom and aunt are coming to visit. It was just people, you know? So I guess I'll start my gratitudes. I do mine as well. I'll start mine with one I'm grateful for, like being in a place that acknowledges community and does a good job of fostering opportunities for it. And so whether that's On It Gym or Archetype or the church that I go to, which is still so crazy to me, but such a big part of just being in all these places that are like community, because we are more and more isolated than ever, you know, at scale. And so anyway, I'm grateful for that. I am also grateful for all of my little plants that are around us right now. They just make me happy. They're like the little things I keep alive. Yeah, they're just surrounding
My place
you.
is too dark. I got fake plants.
That's okay. I had fake plants for a while too.
Nobody has to know.
And then I got sober and then I started keeping plants alive. Ooh. No joke. That's actually what happened. I was always like, oh, they're pretty. And so I did fake ones because I didn't have to like take care of it. Yeah, it's real.
Check it out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And they're not hard to take care of. And especially when you're like have of sound mind consistently.
But you get direct sun. I don't get direct sun.
Yeah. Not like a ton, but a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely thought it was sunshiny a lot more in Austin until Jimmy, who's from Phoenix, made me aware of how we had to like look up some stats for weather. And I was like, oh, okay, it does rain here. Like it's rain all the time. And I'm like, it doesn't rain that much compared to where I'm from.
Sure.
So anyway, okay. And then my third and final gratitude will also just be, I'm sorry, I'm just going to throw it back at you, but for this, because I really do consistently come back to like, this is such a cool thing to get to do. To sit down and have long conversations about like real human stuff and not just glaze over it. And with the hopes of helping other people is just super cool. So I'm grateful for you. Yep. And that's it. Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. We hope that you choose to have a beautiful day.